Hello guys, my name is Michael. It is time for us now to move on to a new widget. Today we are going to talk about a simple one which is very important in a lot of applications. It's very used. It is a small widget, if I can call it like this, and you will see after we go through this widget that you will need it in your future applications. So this widget which I am talking about, it is called GtkFrame. Maybe you know and you heard about it. So let's see. As you can see, looks like this one. You see here it is text and a nice border which starts here and goes back to the end of the text. Let's see, its description says the frame widget is a bin that surrounds its child with a decorative frame and an optional label. If present, the label is drawn in a gap in the top side of the frame. The position of the label can be controlled, of course, by working with GtkFrame set label align. And of course we have some CSS nodes here. For example, our frame has this is the main node, and of course we have the label and the border and so on. And of course we have properties and functions. You can see we have we don't have too many functions. So let's see what's the story with this frame. So this being said, let's create one. So we are going to call GtkFrame new, and this function, as you can see, returns a widget and takes a label as its parameter and says creates a new GTK label with optional label. If label is null, the label is omitted. So let's see, let's create one. GTK Widget frame, and then we're going to say frame it's equal to GtkFrame new, and of course the manual said a label or null, so we are going to pass null to see what happens, just like that. And then we are going to add it to our window. GTK container add GTK container, our window, and of course our frame. Now let's compile it and run it and see what we get. And as you can see, what did we got here? It is this border right here. As you can see, this is our frame. So basically this frame has also as you can see a body, and here inside this body you can put a lot of things. Okay, so basically this is the frame without a label. Now we are going to create one, so I'm going to call it my frame, or just frame. I'll compile it and run it and see what happens. And as you can see here, we got a nice name which says frame. Now let's move on to another function. Let's say set label align. It says this function returns nothing, takes 3 parameters, and says sets the alignment of the frame widget's label. The default values for a newly created frame are 0.0 and 0.5. So this means that those 3 parameters are our frame, and of course X align and Y align, and the position of the label along the top edge of the widget, a value of 0.0, and represent left element 1.0. which represents right elements on the other alignment of the label is the value 0, 0, blah, blah. Okay, we are not going to read this. You have enough time to do it. Me, I'm just going to call it. The first one is our GTK frame. So frame. The second one, it is the second two are those alignments. So let's say 0.5 and 1.0. Okay, it's not working. Let's try again. 0.5 and 1.0. Okay, let's see what happens after we call this function. As you can see, our frame moved, and what is very important, watch where's the position of the frame. It is now in the middle, but our actually frame, it is under this frame. So basically this is what this thing does. When you set the x to 0.5, now I set it to 0 to see that it's here. I move it now to 1 so that you see where. Okay, I forgot the 1, sorry, even if it's working, because it takes like 0. Now I put it to 1 and jumps to the right side, because this is the x alignment and this is the other alignment. So that one I'm going to pass it, this one, to 0 to see where exactly goes. And as you can see, it is completely under, and as you saw, the 1, it is above, and 0.5, it is in the middle. So now that we know that, we can now move it back to 0.5 here, 0.5, so that we have it in the middle, and then you see how nice surrounds everything, you see? And this is now surrounding the text right in the middle. So basically this is what this function GtkFrame set label does. Of course, we have another function which it's called GTK label set label. This means let's think for a moment that we didn't create a label. Okay, now because we didn't create nothing here, we don't have nothing at all. So that being said, by calling this function, says it is a function which takes two parameters. The first one is the frame, the second one is the label, and says removes the current label widget. Let's go a little bit inside, and says a widget to display in place of a usual label, frame label. We are going to we are coming to this part in a moment. If label is not null, creates a new GTK label with the text and adds it to as the label widget. Okay, so if it's not null. Okay, that being said, if we call this function now, and we are going to say null, nothing happens. We have nothing because we said null. If I'm going to comment this part here where we were creating our frame, and now we are going to set null with a set label, we are basically destroying our label. And what's very important is that once that you create it without a label, if you my frame, now you can create a label which you didn't create it at the beginning. As you can see, we have our frame here, and there is something important. It says remove the current label widget. This is the part which begins. So this means this set label interface somehow different with one of these functions. So which one is this function? Well, this function, it is this one, GtkFrame set label widget. What this function actually does is sets the label widget of the frame This is the widget that will appear embedded in the top edge of the frame as a title. Let me show you something. Let me open my terminal, change that to our demo, and here we have our frame. I'm going to change to our frame, and here we have our frame demo. Watch. Here I have a program for you and says, let's go back. GTK frame set label sets the label widget for the frame. This is the widget that will appear embedded. So basically this function takes two parameters. The first one is the widget and the second one is the new label widget. This means when you are calling this function and you are passing a widget here, it happens something like this. You see here? We are going to do it in a moment. You see now instead of a text I have a button here. So basically this means you don't need just to put nothing or a text. You can put also a widget or an image or something like this, and of course you can do everything you want to see. Every time I click here, change background of the button, also the background of the frame. So how we do that, let's see. I'm going to copy this part here. I am going to call this widget, and I'm going to move this part up here now so that we add the frame inside our window. And now, because we did call this function, the first one was the frame and the second one is the widget, I'm going to call it button. And now I'm going to create a button, GTK widget, GTK again, GTK widget button. We are going to create a button here, and we are going to say button GTK button new with label, and I'm going to say click me. It needs to be a string. Click me. Now that we have created this button, we can basically put it inside our frame. Let's see if it works. And as you can see, here we have a button, this button right here. So this button basically does let me put it 0 0 like was in one example. So basically this is what this button this function does. Puts instead of a frame a widget, so that maybe you can take use of this widget like me, and like I showed you in my example program here. Me, I decide to put a button here, and once that I have this button, every time I click this button it changes this background, and why not also the button background. Watch. You see now we have yellow and red, now we have green and yellow and so on. You see red and green, blue and so on. And basically this is what this function does, give us a chance to put a widget here, so that later with this widget we can create some crazy stuffs with it. Okay, so that being said, set the shadow type for a frame. Whether it is drawn without GTK shadow none, or which other value visible border values other than GTK shadow none are treated identically by GTK frame. So let's see. Let's call this function right here. The first one is our frame. And the second one, it is a GTK shadow type. We have 4, 5, yes. So the first one is shadow none, which its name says everything. This means we have nothing here. We have no border anymore. It's gone. The frame is gone. So this is the none. And then of course you have shadow in. Where's right here, and of course we have shadow out, So basically this is what this function does. So just remember, when you are working with this function, where exactly you need to set your frame border, if I can call it like that, and just play with these shadow types until you find what exactly it is interesting for you and what exactly do you need. Now of course the last 4 functions, we don't need to talk about them because it's not important here. We have only the GtkFrame get label. Once you set, you can get it. Once you set the align, you can get the align. Once you set the widget, you can get the widget, and so on, the shadow type. So basically this is everything about you need to know about the GtkFrame and how you need to work with its functions. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends, and until next time, see you guys.